Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I hope everyone is doing absolutely amazing because today in Cooking with Tam, I'm going to show you how to make the ultimate ground beef and spaghetti. So without further ado, let's introduce these ingredients and get this recipe started. First one up is our ground beef. This is ground chuck. However, feel free to substitute with sirloin or even a leaner cut of beef. We also have our finely chopped onions along with bell peppers in an array of colors: red, yellow, green, followed by our finely chopped parsley, diced up tomatoes. We also have some green onions, finely chopped garlic. If you have fresh garlic, definitely utilize the fresh garlic. It's going to bring out the ultimate authentic flavors in this delicious meat sauce. We also have fresh thyme along with a small pinch of cilantro, along with Worcestershire sauce, dried oregano, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, adobo, paprika, onion powder, basil paste. We also have our pasta in the background along with our pasta sauce. So without further ado, let's put this recipe together and get to cooking. We're going to introduce our ground beef to the pan. Since the goal is to brown this meat on up, I'm going to be using medium flame. I'm going to grab my meat chopper because I love this thing. It's going to get the job done quickly and efficiently. We're going to break the meat on up. If you notice, I didn't add any oil to the pan because I'm using ground chuck. And at the end, it's going to produce its own oil. However, if you are going to be using ground sirloin or maybe even a leaner cut of beef, you may need to add a little bit of oil to the pan if you prefer. If you do decide to add any oil, make sure it's an oil with a high smoke point. In the meanwhile, we're going to chop this meat on down. We're not going to season it just yet, simply because at the end, like I said, you're going to have to drain it on off. And guess what? Your girl loves extra flavor. Not saltiness, but extra flavor. And if we were to add all of our seasonings right now during the draining process, we're going to lose some of that flavor. After about, let's say, 8 to 10 minutes, our meat is browned on up and it's ready to be drained on off. Once you're done, we're going to place it back on the stovetop. Get the meat in the center of the pan once again. Remember, in order for anything to taste good, we need to start off with a good base. We're going to introduce our onions because we need that extra flavor, right? Along with our freshly chopped garlic. We're going to give it a good stir to make sure everything is well incorporated. We're going to cook our onions down until they're slightly translucent and our garlic becomes fragrant. We're going to grab our adobo, add a small amount because it does contain salt. Not to mention, adobo does come in reduced sodium as well. So if you want to grab that one up, you can definitely do that as well. We're going to add our garlic powder along with onion powder. And at this point, it's just basically seasoned to taste. No measurement necessary. However, I am going to leave the measurements in the description bar. I get questions from time to time stating that you can't find the recipe and I didn't leave the recipe. Yes, the recipe is actually in the description bar. If it's not at the top, it's definitely going to be at the bottom. All you have to do is scroll down to the end of the video in the description bar and you find the recipe details. We're going to follow on up with adding our green onions, followed by our bell peppers. Mix it on up once again. Make sure everything is perfectly incorporated. We're going to allow our veggies to cook down until they're slightly softened. We're going to add a few drops of Worcestershire sauce. However, be mindful that Worcestershire sauce, just like some barbecue sauces and Caesar salad dressing, does contain anchovies. Read the back of the label just to make sure, because we don't want to experience any problems for those of us who are allergic to seafood. Once we're finished, we're going to add some paprika. This is regular paprika. The reason for adding the paprika, even though it doesn't have any flavors, is going to work alongside the tomato sauce and brighten up the color even more. In the meanwhile, while our ground meat is doing what it do, we're going to move on to adding a little bit of salt to boiling water before adding our pasta. After about 5 minutes, let's add our favorite brand of tomato sauce. And of course, you're going to get there, you're going to add some water to that jar, you're going to shake it around, and you're going to empty all of the contents out of the bottle. Because I'm using 2 1/4 pounds of ground meat, I'm going to use 2 bottles of tomato sauce. We want this recipe to be saucy. We're going to mix it on in once again. Now would be the perfect time to add our diced tomatoes. Mix that on in there. Everything is looking absolutely perfect so far, not to mention the aroma is everything. Once we're done, we're going to cover it down with the lid, allow it to come to a slow simmer. Now would be the perfect time to add our herbs. We're going to add our fresh thyme along with our cilantro. I know most people have a love-hate relationship when it comes to cilantro. It's either you love it or you don't. But in this instance, you're not going to taste it, and it is going to bring out the best flavors in this sauce. We're also going to add our finely chopped parsley as well, followed by a small amount of basil paste. If you don't have basil paste, feel free to use fresh basil. We're going to add our dried oregano along with our dried Italian seasoning. Combine all of the ingredients once again. At this point in time, this is totally optional, but I am going to add a small pinch of light brown sugar to combat with the acidity. What the sugar is going to do is it's going to neutralize the acidity in the tomato sauce. If you like your tomato sauce pungent, then you can definitely rock out like that. Not telling you that you have to add the sugar. However, the amount of sugar that I am adding is not enough to make the sauce sweet at all. In the meanwhile, we are going to drain our pasta on off and get our pasta ready. Cook your pasta according to the directions on the box. If you like it al dente, cook it al dente. If not, cook it until it's slightly a little bit softer than al dente. Look at our sauce. We did our thing, guys. Yes, we did. In the meanwhile, grab your favorite plate. Add some of that pasta to the plate. I'm going to scoop a good amount of meat sauce onto this pasta. And for the final touches, we're going to add some freshly grated Parmesan cheese for a nice nutty contributing flavor. And we're going to top it off with some fresh parsley. If you don't have fresh parsley, stick a basil leaf on in there and get to eating. Definitely give this recipe a try. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to copy your seasonings, cookingwithtammy.shop. And I will definitely catch you in another video. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.